Jamal Anderson was born and raised in a modest neighborhood in Detroit. From a young age, he demonstrated an insatiable thirst for knowledge and an unwavering dedication to his studies. His parents, both hard-working individuals who toiled in low-paying jobs, instilled in him the value of education as a means to a better life. In high school, Jamal was a standout student, excelling in every subject he touched. His teachers often remarked on his extraordinary intellect and diligent work ethic. Jamal's passion for science led him to dream of becoming an engineer, and he spent countless hours in the library, poring over textbooks and conducting experiments. His efforts paid off when he graduated as valedictorian of his class, earning a full scholarship to a prestigious university. At university, Jamal's dedication only intensified. He majored in electrical engineering and immersed himself in his studies, often staying up late into the night to perfect his projects. Despite facing subtle racism from some of his peers and even some professors who doubted his capabilities, Jamal persevered. He sought solace and strength in his studies, believing that his hard work would eventually be recognized. Upon graduating with honors, Jamal entered the job market with high hopes. Armed with a stellar academic record, a portfolio of impressive projects, and glowing recommendations from his professors, he felt confident about his prospects. However, the reality that awaited him was starkly different. Jamal sent out countless resumes and attended numerous job interviews, but the responses were dishearteningly similar. Time and again, he faced rejection, often with vague explanations that left him questioning what he could have done differently. Despite his qualifications, many companies seemed reluctant to give him a chance. The rejections began to weigh heavily on Jamal. He couldn't help but notice a pattern. Many of his less qualified peers, often white, were landing jobs with relative ease. The realization that his race was likely a factor in his struggles was a bitter pill to swallow. It wasn't just about the rejection. It was about the injustice and the systemic racism that permeated the industry he had worked so hard to enter. Despite these setbacks, Jamal refused to give up. He continued to improve his skills, taking online courses and working on independent projects to stay current in his field. His perseverance in the face of systemic racism highlights the urgent need for change in how we address inequality in the job market. Jamal decided to make a change. Instead of waiting for a chance that might never come, he resolved to create his own opportunities. Drawing from his deep well of knowledge and experience, Jamal decided to start his own engineering firm. It was a bold and daunting decision, but he was fueled by a desire to not only succeed but to pave the way for others like him. He began by drafting a detailed business plan, outlining his vision for the company, a firm that would innovate in the field of electrical engineering while prioritizing diversity and inclusion. He named his company Anderson Innovations. With his savings and a small loan from a community bank that believed in his vision, Jamal rented a modest office space in downtown Detroit. He started with just a couple of employees, friends and former classmates who shared his vision and commitment. The early days were challenging. Jamal had to wear many hats: engineer, marketer, salesperson, and manager. There were times when the financial strain seemed overwhelming, but he kept pushing forward. He leveraged his network, reaching out to former professors and mentors for advice and potential leads. Slowly but surely, Anderson Innovations began to attract attention. Jamal's break came when his company won a contract to design and implement a new energy-efficient lighting system for a local municipality. The project was a resounding success, showcasing the ingenuity and reliability of Anderson Innovations. Word spread, and more contracts followed. As his company grew, Jamal made it a point to hire a diverse team, providing opportunities to talented individuals who, like him, had faced barriers in the job market. Jamal's vision extended beyond profit. He was committed to making Anderson Innovations a force for good. The company launched community outreach programs, partnering with local schools to provide STEM workshops and mentorship for underprivileged students. Years of hard work began to pay off. Anderson Innovations expanded its portfolio, tackling projects ranging from smart grid technology to renewable energy solutions. The company earned accolades not only for its technical achievements but also for its commitment to social responsibility and diversity. Anderson Innovations continued to thrive, embodying the values of excellence, inclusion, and community upliftment that Jamal had always championed. Jamal himself has become a respected figure, frequently speaking at conferences and advocating for systemic change in the industry. Jamal's journey from facing relentless racism and rejection to building a thriving, socially conscious enterprise underscores the power of determination and the impact of standing up for what is right. However, The scars of the racism he endured were deep, and they began to subtly shape his actions and decisions. Jamal's battle against systemic racism had left him with a lingering bitterness that, unbeknownst to him, started to affect his judgment. At first, Jamal's hiring practices were driven by a genuine desire to correct the imbalance and provide opportunities for those who had been marginalized, much like himself. His company became known for its diverse workforce and inclusive culture. However, over time, Jamal began to unconsciously favor black candidates over others. His painful experiences with racism had fostered an unconscious bias that he himself had not fully recognized. It wasn't long before this bias began to affect the company. Talented candidates of other races and ethnicities who applied to Anderson Innovations were often overlooked in favor of black applicants. As the company grew, so did its visibility and the scrutiny of its practices. Internally, some employees began to notice the trend and felt uneasy about the implications. Externally, industry observers and potential clients started to question Anderson Innovations' commitment to true diversity and inclusion. What had once been a strength of the company was now becoming a point of contention. One day, a particularly qualified candidate of Asian descent, named Li Wei, applied for a senior engineering position. Despite having an impeccable resume and a wealth of experience, Li Wei was passed over in favor of a less experienced black candidate. This decision sparked concern among the company's HR department and led to several key employees voicing their worries to Jamal. Faced with these concerns, Jamal was initially defensive. He saw his actions as a continuation of his mission to right the wrongs he had faced. However, a candid conversation with his longtime friend and business partner, Alex, forced him to confront the unintended consequences of his decisions. Alex, who had stood by Jamal since the early days, gently pointed out that in his efforts to combat the racism he had suffered, Jamal was inadvertently perpetuating a new form of discrimination. This was a bitter realization for Jamal. He understood that his actions, though well-intentioned, were not fostering the true spirit of equality he had always championed. Determined to correct his course, Jamal took immediate steps to address the situation. He began by publicly acknowledging his mistakes and the unconscious bias that had influenced his hiring practices. He initiated company-wide training sessions on unconscious bias and diversity, ensuring that all employees, including himself, were educated on the importance of fair and equitable treatment for all candidates, regardless of race or ethnicity. Jamal also restructured the hiring process, implementing checks and balances to ensure that all candidates were evaluated purely on their qualifications and fit for the role. He reached out personally to candidates who had been unfairly overlooked, offering apologies and, where possible, opportunities to join Anderson Innovations. These steps helped to rebuild trust both within the company and in the wider community. Anderson Innovations regained its reputation as a leader in diversity and inclusion, not just in rhetoric but in practice. Jamal's willingness to confront his own biases and take corrective action earned him renewed respect from his peers and employees. Jamal's journey serves as a profound reminder that the fight against racism and discrimination is complex and ongoing. It requires constant vigilance and self-reflection. By acknowledging and addressing his own shortcomings, Jamal reinforced his commitment to true equality and set a powerful example for others to follow. His legacy now includes not just the creation of opportunities but also the honest pursuit of justice, even when it meant confronting difficult truths about himself.